What is the difference between constant and consistent? They seem quite similar. And what's the importance of this consistency I'm yattering on about so much here? Well, constant to me has to do with the frequency of how often you're coming out.
There are millions of real estate investors out there, and most are stuck with just a couple of properties. They want financial freedom, but their small portfolio ends up costing them more in time, effort, and money than it's worth. Getting out of the rat race seems harder than ever. This show will help you do more deals, better deals, and bigger deals. Finally, you'll be able to reach your income and lifestyle goals. How? By attracting and leveraging private money partners and their capital. Now get ready to raise more money, because here's your host, Dave Dubeau.
Well, hey, welcome back to the How to Raise Capital 101 show. My name is Dave Dubeau. I'm your host with the most, hopefully. And this is episode number 15. And to get started, let me ask you a question. What is the advertisement or the commercial that kind of pops into your mind with a jingle or something that you just remember from childhood? So myself, for better or for worse, I'm kind of a child of the 1980s. Yeah, I'm kind of old. And when I think back to then, even though I grew up in a two-horse town that, well, maybe not two horses, but we had two TV stations when I was growing up. That was it. That's all I had. So I didn't watch as much TV as perhaps some other people might have, but there were some commercials that I still remember to this day. One of them was Wendy's. And at that time, there was this cranky little old lady that they had on there, and her tagline was, "Where's the beef?" That was a big one for the 1980s. Where's the beef? Where's the beef? Another one was Pepsi was trying to take a chunk out of Coca-Cola's market share. So they came up with the taste test and all that kind of stuff. And their tagline was I think the choice of a new generation, something like that. I can vaguely remember some other ads. Well, I won't get into them, but different ads like that. So how about for you? What is it when you think back to your childhood? What is one of those ads that just kind of sticks in your head? Now, what does this have to do with real estate investing? What does this have to do with attracting investors, raising capital? A lot, because today we're going to be talking about the importance of staying consistent. That's what this is all about here today. So let's jump right in to episode number 15. All about what I call the 3 C's of marketing. And then today we're going to really dial in on consistency. I love this saying, consistent action creates consistent results. Well, yeah, of course it does. But, it is really, really important. So I've got what I call my 3 C's of capital marketing: constant, consistent, edutaining communication. I threw in edutaining there. We'll talk about that in an upcoming episode. But constant, consistent communication. That is the 3 C's of capital marketing. So what is the difference between constant and consistent? They seem quite similar. And what's the importance of this consistency I'm yattering on about so much here? Well, constant to me has to do with the frequency of how often you're coming out. So if you recall back to episode number 4, so the first 9 episodes of the podcast are kind of a mini course going through my whole money partner formula. Episode number 4 and episode number 8 were really, really dialed in. Oh, actually, sorry, I'm taking it back. Episode number 6 and episode number 8 were really, really dialed in on the whole marketing side of things. So constant means the frequency that things are coming out. And if you recall, my recommendation is that you want to be coming out at least weekly with your podcast. That is what with your podcast, with your marketing. I'm doing a podcast, so I'm focused on podcasting, but with your marketing, you should be coming out weekly. Okay. So then what does consistency mean? Well, consistency talks about what you're talking about with your marketing. That's what consistency is all about. It's the message that's coming across. So that's why I asked you at the beginning of the episode, when you think back to the commercials from your childhood, what pops into mind? What comes into mind? And chances are you saw that advertisement over and over and over again. That comes out to the constancy of the whole thing. But you also heard the same message over and over and over again. That's why it got drilled into your skull. That was the consistency of that messaging. So that's what I'm talking about here when it comes to our capital marketing. So what do we talk about? How do we have this consistency of our messaging? Well, it's really not as tough as you might think it is. So we need to be talking about the same kind of things over and over and over again, but in a slightly different way or in different mediums or different nuances, right? So we want to be talking about the same things over and over again. So for example, one of the things that we do for our clients is we have them position why they're such fanatics about real estate versus everything and anything else that people could invest in. So why real estate rocks and everything else sucks, basically, is what it comes down to, right? So you can do compare and contrast. Why I love real estate versus investing in stocks, and you talk about that. Why I love real estate versus investing in crypto, and you talk about why real estate is so much better than crypto. Why, whatever. You get the idea, right? Gold, precious metals, etc. Why is real estate better than that? Another thing you could be talking about over and over again, having that constant and consistent communication. So the consistency is about your particular strategy. So if your primary in real estate investing strategy, for example, is that you like to take a single family home and buy it and put in a secondary suite or a carriage house or something like that, and you do a conversion and then you refinance it. So perhaps you're doing the BRRRR strategy, then that's what you want to be talking about all the time. You want to be talking about why you love the BRRRR strategy and how the BRRRR strategy works and examples of the BRRRR and before and after pictures of your BRRRR deals and all of this kind of stuff. So your communication is always around that particular strategy. Another thing you could be talking about is your primary market that you're investing in. So chances are there's one market that you really prefer over the others, and you want to be talking about that on a consistent basis. Why I love investing in this market. What's so great about this market? What are some of the fundamental reasons why this is such a great market to invest in migration, infrastructure getting built up, economic activity going on, the vacancy rates, without getting into too much detail, but you want to be talking about that on a very consistent basis. All right. Because one of the challenges I see people doing is they'll start talking about things that they do nothing with. So for example, if they're a BRRRR real estate investor, then they might start talking about investing in apartment buildings or investing in raw land or tax liens or tax deeds. They talk about all these different real estate investing strategies when they aren't really what they do, and they just really serve to muddy the waters and confuse people. So you want to keep things laser focused in on what is your primary real estate investing strategy, your primary market, and why real estate rocks and everything else sucks. If you go along those lines, that's going to be safe, and that's going to allow you to have that consistent messaging. Now, some people say, well, Dave, what if people start getting bored? I'm going to start sounding like a broken record. All I'm talking about are BRRRRs in this market, why real estate rocks. That's okay, right? Remember back to when you were a kid and that messaging that stuck out in your mind. It's stuck in there because you heard it over and over and over again. So here's the thing, right? You don't want to be saying the exact same thing over and over again, but you want to be talking about the same things on a consistent basis. And never underestimate, let me repeat this, never underestimate how little other people are actually paying attention. All right, so we got to keep that in mind. We are competing for people's attention every single day. So it's not like they're anxiously sitting at their phone waiting for your message to pop in their inbox and that they jump right on it and consume every little bit that you've got and pay close attention and take notes and all that kind of stuff. That ain't how it works, right? Everybody's busy. Everybody's distracted. Everybody's attention span has shrunk to about this much. So that's why it's so important that you've got this constant communication, that you've got this consistent communication. Because first of all, they're not paying that much attention. Second of all, chances are they're only reading every second or third or fourth thing that you're sending them. So it's not like they're really, really focusing on this. They've got all sorts of other stuff going on. Third of all, they're really not probably all that into real estate investing, right? That's your passion, not their passion. So again, we never want to overestimate how much people are paying attention to us, or underestimate it as well, because chances are they're not paying that much attention. So don't worry about sounding like a broken record, especially if you start bringing different things in, if you start bringing case studies, stories, examples, before and afters, this kind of thing. This is the kind of stuff that really goes a long way to make your marketing stand up. Now, some people say, well, Dave, you talk about laser focusing here. You talk about, focus on one strategy and one market. What if I do a whole bunch of different things? Dave, I've been in the real estate game for a long time. I know how to do all sorts of things. So sometimes I do flips, sometimes I do burrs, sometimes I do wholesale deals, sometimes I do lease options, whatever it is that the variety that you do, or I invest in multiple different markets. I'm going to recommend that for your marketing, you laser focus in. And the reason is because, as we've alluded to, people aren't paying that much attention. And if we start to confuse them, if we start to muddy the waters, so if one day you're talking about you're doing burrs, and then the next day you're talking about you're doing flips, and then the next day you're talking about you're doing wholesale deals, and then you have to explain how all of these things work, then you're confusing people, right? If you're talking about sometimes we do deals in this market, sometimes we do deals in this market, again, you're confusing people. And then the other thing is subtly, if you do it that way, if you're kind of all over the place, then people are going to perceive you as a jack of all trades, master of none. And you don't want to be perceived as a jack of all trades, master of none. You want to be perceived as a real estate expert in the eyes of your target group of potential investors. That's really, really important. So I'm not saying you can never do any other kind of deals or invest in any kind of other kind of markets. Of course you can. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to your marketing, keep the messaging the same. Keep it focused on one strategy and one market. Okay. Get people enrolled with that. Have your presentation set up about that. Have all of your marketing around that. And then get your investor ducks in a row, just like we talk about with this whole money partner formula, the whole process. The whole goal here is to get you investor meetings and to get you people enrolled, signing off on expressions of interest or letters of intent, whatever you're going to be using, getting your investor ducks in a row. So once you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 investors waiting in the wings for your next deal, well, then when you've got a one-off that's different than your normal one, instead of trying to educate everybody on your list about this, or your entire database of prospective investors, now you can go to that group, that small group, and say, hey guys, I've got a different kind of deal here. It's a little bit different than what I do normally. However, I think you're going to really like it. Would you like to find out about it? And then you just go to those folks, and they're going to be open to it because they've already bought in. They've already, see you as the expert. They understand what you're doing as your primary thing. Now you can show them, hey, typically I'm doing, for example, burrs in this market. However, I came across a really good opportunity to do a flip over here, right? And the reason this is such a great opportunity is and you show them all about that, but you're focused on that, and you're just talking to that small target group. So hopefully this makes sense. So again, this is the importance of having that consistent messaging. So always remember that. Keep that in mind, that you want to be known amongst the people in your target group of prospective investors, amongst your database of potential investors. When they think about you, they think, okay, that's the guy or the gal that focuses on X in such and such a market, right? So that's the gal that does the burr deals in the GTA, right? That's what comes to their mind, for example, right? You want to have that level of consistency coming across. When you get that dialed in, then you're going to be perceived as the expert. You're going to be perceived as the authority, and you're going to boost up that trust factor exponentially. All right. So make sure you keep it constant. Make sure you keep it consistent. Hopefully you've learned from this. Hopefully you've got some value from this. If you liked it and you got value, share this with somebody who is also getting going with raising capital if you've thought this might be helpful for them. So feel free to share this episode. If you're an active real estate investor who's looking to supercharge your portfolio growth right now, and you don't want to wait for all the knowledge, strategies, and how-tos to be slowly dripped out on this podcast feed every week, then I invite you to book a Capital Clarity Call right now to discuss our done-for-you Capital Launchpad marketing program.
A lot of people want to invest now, and I have all these meetings and I have all these appointments and phone calls, and I'm like, wow!
This is the program that I've created that has already helped over 200 real estate investors to raise 6 figures of private money in a matter of weeks, and even 7 figures in a matter of months, and grow their portfolios like never before.
Pretty much right off the bat, once we started the marketing campaign, that turned into us raising $300,000, which turned out to be amazing.
I invested in your program, and within 60 days, I raised to the tune of $750,000.
The Capital Launchpad is where my team and I personally work with you to find your perfect investors and get them booking meetings with you instead of you chasing after them. We get you easy and profitable investor meetings booked without any salesiness or high-pressure shenanigans. Meetings that actually get investors on board with your deals without turning people off or getting rejected. And the best thing is, because we do all the heavy lifting for you, you can focus on the most important things. Number 1, talking to investors, and number 2, managing your growing real estate portfolio.
My intent was, hey, if we could raise $1 million in capital, that would really keep the ball rolling. And almost kind of there, we've only done 2 newsletters and 1 video. That's all we've done. We're 1 month in.
The booking link is in the show notes, or you can visit bookachatwithdave.com. It only takes a few minutes to book your call and fill out the questionnaire. Then we'll have about a 30-minute Zoom conversation where my team and I can dive into your current situation, and we can give you a concrete set of next steps on how to break through your current capital challenges.
As of today, over the past, I would say 4 weeks, we've just brought in $900,000.
Sometimes those next steps will be inviting you to join the program. But actually, more often than not, it doesn't involve inviting you to join the program because it's not always the right fit at the right time. And that's okay.
I honestly wasn't 100% confident when we started to work with you about finding money and whether Jamie and I would be able to do it. But now, people are throwing money at us, and not just a little bit of money.
Our goal for you is to leave the call with a clear action plan, whether it's working personally with us inside our program or not.
So he got really interested, and he wanted to invest in us $400,000 to $500,000.
Yes.
We won't be able to do this without you guys.
Yes.
With the videos, the e-zines, the websites, and the guidance on how to present our presentations. So it's a lot of help for us.
I thought we couldn't do it, but
we did it.
So if you're a real estate investor who's committed to doing more and better deals using investors' capital this year, and you want to shortcut all the trial and error and implement what actually works, then just book a Capital Clarity Call right now.
My investment in your program has already been paid back to me 6-fold.
It works. It works.
I'm really happy as well. This works.
And by the way, thanks for everything. I have to tell you that. Thanks for everything.
And you want a couple faces to show up and say, hey, it works? Let us know. We'll come and vouch for you.
Worst case scenario, we get together and chat for 30 to 45 minutes and give you some free advice. The link to apply is in the show notes, or go to bookachatwithdave.com.